I'm Dr. Jack Williamson. My story begins in the early 1960s in my hometown of San Antonio, Texas, where I began my private practice for orthopedic surgery. And to begin the practice, the way one developed a practice was to work in the several emergency rooms in San Antonio, being available on the call roster. And we saw many automobile accidents and other forms of trauma. And in those days, there was no county ambulance system, but the emergency ambulances were furnished by funeral home operators. And what we would see, if there's a bad car accident, two people were in the accident, one was killed and one was severely injured, the ambulance would take the deceased to the funeral home and then come back and pick up the injured person to take to the emergency room. That seemed like they didn't quite have their priorities right. And this continued for some years, but I and some of my colleagues, young orthopedic surgeons, trauma surgeons, thought there might be a better way. And then in 1972, I went to the Texas Medical Association meeting in Houston, Texas, and there I met one of my colleagues from residency who had been instrumental in setting up an emergency medical services system in Houston. And they had a shiny new Modulance, which was simply a large-sized pickup with a box on the back of it, but the box was like a very small emergency room where an injured person could be placed on the gurney in the Modulance, and an IV could be started and an emergency treatment begun on the way to the hospital. So I thought that was a great idea. So when I got home to San Antonio, I talked to Dr. Bill Center, who was the president of the Bexar County Medical Society, and thought that would be a good project for the Medical Society. And he said, "Jack, that's a great idea. We'll form a committee and you're the chairman. Go to work." And so right away, I contacted my colleague at the medical school here, Dr. Charles Rockwood, and it just so happened that he was already in the business of training emergency medical technicians, or EMTs, and he in fact had been editor of what was called the Orange Book, which was just a manual on the training of the EMTs. So we were set up then the source of personnel, which the best source in the community would be from the San Antonio Fire Department. And so to get that going, we first met with the mayor and then with the county judge, and they were very interested in the project, very much behind us. And so in working with city and county government and with the training of the fire department, we started the summer of 1972 and went on the road by March of 1974, just about an 18-month time frame to get the organization going. And that was very well accepted in the city. And of course, one of the things that City Council wanted to know is how we're going to pay for it. Well, it was calculated that it would be about $1 per person per year, and the local so-called bedroom communities would be invited to join as well, since we would cover actually not only the metropolitan area but into the county. And I was interviewed one day by a reporter for the San Antonio Express News and asked what the cost would be, And so I said it would be about $1 per person per year, or about the cost of a 6-pack of beer. Well, I got quoted in the newspaper the next day that Dr. Williamson said that it only cost about the price of a 6-pack of beer. Well, I learned right then to be very careful of what you said to the media. Anyhow, we had the fire department, the guys were just so excited to be participating in something like this. It made their lives a lot more active, but really they felt they were doing such a good service in the community. They were extremely happy to do it. So it's been a great success for now about 50 years in the community. That's the story.